Hello, this is Michael Adams for Stock-Telegraph International. Today we have again Craig Goodwin from Naturally Splendid. Naturally Splendid had some interesting developments over the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately not reflected in the share price, but we are going to talk to Craig about this. And especially last week there have been two news releases, and one was today. And this was regarding the 51% stake in POS, and I'm happy to have Craig here to discuss this. Joining me is my colleague Joe Brunner from a small cap investor from Austria. And so let's head over to Craig. So hi Craig, thanks for taking the time again to talk to us. I think right now it's our third time that we have you here on stage. We did another one with David Race, right? So you're kind of on the top list of our interview partners, but for a reason. There's so much going on within Naturally Splendid that we could possibly have you here in this show like every week, right? So
I'd love to be there every week.
Perfect. So I just want to quickly ask you about the news releases. That was the reason for me that I invited you together with Joachim Brunner at this to the show. And there have been two news releases last week, one on Monday and one on Friday, and there was an additional one today. And maybe you can give us, especially on the two news releases that are related to the takeover of the 51% stake in the POS deal, maybe you can just give us some more insight on what really happened.
Sure, absolutely. And I do want to thank both of you for taking the time to allow me to speak with you today and to provide an update for your clientele. The POS acquisition was incredibly strategic. It gives Naturally Splendid processing capacity in the area of bioactive ingredients, which is a $30 billion a year industry that's growing every week. It's okay, Joe.
That was just my dogs coming in. I'm sorry. I think they want to have your stuff too, right? So they know that.
Well, you know what? Actually, Michael, it's funny you should say that, because Naturally Splendid actually launched a pet care line called Positive Effects.
Right.
I don't know if we've even had a chance to talk about that. Maybe in a future interview we will. But it's also a hemp-based nutraceutical line intended for the pet market.
Right.
And in fact, some of those ingredients will be produced at the POS BPC facility that we did acquire the 51% stake in recently, and that's the news that we're referring to. I do want to draw our investors' attention to the fact that in the 1990s, that this facility cost about $20 million to build. Replacement cost for this facility, I apologize for the background sounds. This facility would cost well in excess of $30 million to replace now. The facility is designed for extraction and formulation of products exactly like our hemp omega, as well as our other plant-based omega materials. So this is a truly once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I believe, to secure a world-class facility and partner with POS Biosciences, who've been in the protein and oil extraction and formulation market for well over 30 years. In fact, over 38 years they've been conducting research and development in this specific area. So not only do they have a world-class facility, but undoubtedly they have a world-class research and development team that has developed a number of technologies and products for these specific markets. We couldn't handpick a better business partner than POS Biosciences.
Okay, great. Because I have to admit, I was a little bit confused about the individual news releases on getting this stake, right? This has been in the discussion for quite some while, and there was always some developments like we do this, we do that, and I thought that on Friday, with the news release on Friday, the deal was sealed, like everything was signed. And today the news release reads to me, but correct me if I'm wrong, reads to me that, okay, now that the deal is signed, what are we going to do with it? And especially, how can we use the capacity that POS has within their facilities outside of any application for Naturally Splendid? Is that
no,
that's what I
Michael,
got.
no, you know what? That's a very good statement. We did close the deal on Friday,
Right.
so we now own 51%. The further update was to clarify the opportunity with POS and Naturally Splendid. So not only do we own 51% of the facility, and that includes the equipment inside, but we also assume 51% of the revenue that goes through that facility.
Right.
That facility has produced as much as $350,000 a week for certain clients. It is a small to medium size but highly specialized ingredient manufacturing processing facility. So the margins are very attractive for us. We take on a number of clients that have been with POS, some for as long as 10 years. So our opportunity is to augment and actually offset the cost of manufacturing Hemp Omega by bringing in the POS clientele and using those guys to create revenue at that facility.
Okay.
We think that about maybe 40 to 60% of the capacity will be used for outside sources, and Naturally Splendid within the next year will probably take over about 40% of that processing capacity.
Okay. So, and you will get half of the revenues, which in some cases is $350,000 per week.
That's correct.
Okay. So in mining terms, and I know you're not a mining guy, but I know Joe is. Yeah. The production for Hemp Omega is kind of a byproduct, right? You get your production for free by financing it through the revenues and the profit you get from the processing of the third party stuff.
Well, maybe not quite free, but for certain,
Yeah, but
for sure.
cheaper.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We reduce the cost of our manufacturing significantly. It gives us an opportunity in two areas. One, to increase our margins, or we could keep our margins the same, but would bring the retail and wholesale prices of our plant-based omega products down to make it a more aggressive entry into the market. So we could maintain healthy margins, but our actual selling prices reduced because we've taken our manufacturing in-house. But as you've identified, yes, we've reduced the cost of manufacturing significantly, so we can increase top-line sales and hold the margins where they are. So it's a win-win situation.
Sounds like a really smart deal to me. Joe, any comments?
No, that's interesting to hear. But can you say a little bit what has POS revenues, or what was the revenue of POS last year, and was the profit margin in general by POS only as a single operation company?
Sure. Well, what's happened, Joe, is that this facility was taken over by POS, and I apologize. I'm just going to try to do one thing here, guys, and see if I can't stop that from coming in anymore. The revenue over the last year has been somewhat limited because they were going through an organizational change. They had a number of clients that they'd been working with, but there certainly wasn't enough to keep that facility running at full capacity. And really the profitability is in keeping the machines operating continuously. So rather than run sporadically, they actually reduced their clientele and only really took the really highest margin opportunities that they had available. Our goal now, Joe, is to augment the existing clientele with new clients that Naturally Splendid brings to the table, as well as nurture the existing clients from the research and development side of POS. Once they outgrow the capacity at the pilot plant, we would like them to be clients of the toll processing facility that we now joint venture. So even at, if we were to take a look at $350,000 a week, that gets up to $1.4 million a month. We can do the math. That's maybe $18 million a year if we're running at full capacity. If we could hit 50% of that in the next little bit, of course we would be pleased. But our goal and our focus is to maximize the processing capacity at that facility. So although the revenue streams aren't exactly where POS Biosciences would want them to be right now, the joint venture that we've formed is formed with the intent to increase the top line sales and bottom line profits of the organization.
So what is the, let's say, the number or the level of capacity of used capacity right now? Are they at 20%, 30%, 15%?
Yeah, they're probably under 20% right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it gives
so there's some room for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. It gives us lots of opportunity to manufacture our own products now, especially Hemp Omega. We've spent a great deal of effort. As you know, we've assembled a pretty impressive team of advisors, and they've been tasked with taking our Omega opportunities worldwide. By having our own processing capacity, we can now assure our proposed clients that we have world-class processing capacity that we control directly. So that's where the real connection is. The fact that that plant isn't already at 100% capacity creates an opportunity for Naturally Splendid to go out and market our Hemp Omega to large food processing companies to include our plant-based Omega products into existing formulations. It's sort of what we're trying to tie in. We talked about the other news release. An advisor we've had join our board now is Mitch Berger. He's a National Football League player. I know maybe in Germany it's not as big as football, but it is American football, which is arguably the largest sport globally. Mitch is also a marketing major from the University of Colorado, but he's been able to gain incredible knowledge in health and nutrition and functional beverages. So what we're trying to do is use our advisors, such as Mitch, and then the research and development capacity at POS to develop new functional products and beverages. And if you take a look at our advisory board, you can see that we have, for example, David Race and Charlie Brink, founders of Monavie. That was $1 billion a year after 4 years. One of our other advisors, Doug Mason, was the founder of Clearly Canadian, another new age beverage. That beverage was doing $238 million in year 3. We believe that the operational side of a functional beverage, we have expertise that very few people have, and we want to plug in Mitch's expertise for designing functional beverages to the PhDs that we have at the POS and our own processing capacity, and thus enter the functional beverage and functional product category.
And to me, that's just the natural next step, yeah, right? I'm always waiting for you guys to come up with a functional beverage, especially mentioning the whole team you have gathered, and there are some rumors around. So first, do you have a kind of a timeline, yeah, when you really have a functional beverage product on the market? And second, and this is kind of linked but not linked, there was this deal that has been announced a while ago with, I don't know the company's name, but it was like a small company, and I think they do some hemp coffee stuff.
Laguna Blends.
Right, and as I read the news release the first time, I was very much impressed by it. But after I did a little bit of research, I have to admit I'm not that impressed any longer with that specific small deal.
Sure.
And the reason for it is that it's to me, kind of a start-up company. They don't have, to me it seems they don't even have the funding yet to buy your product. They're talking about multi-level marketing, but they don't have their distribution network set up. So it's kind of, and maybe just give us your feelings. Are you still happy with that deal? Will it just take a little bit longer time? Because I also saw that the market seems to not have liked that deal.
You know what? I think that's a fair statement, Michael. It didn't receive the response in the market that we anticipated. Laguna Blends is a smaller startup company, but I think that's what made it a good fit for the first Hemp Omega infused functional product that we were making. I believe that you need to walk before you run. So this product development process that we went through with Laguna Blends, I think fundamentally was the right move, and it's given us some incredible insight. So to bring you up to speed on it, we developed 4 functional beverages, 4 flavors based on our hemp omega and our hemp protein. We are offering an exclusive to those 4 flavorings to Laguna Blends. They've got a short amount of time now to respond to it till the end of the month. I do believe we will complete on it. We're in daily communications with them. I think it's a modest and realistic target that they have set for themselves. $100,000 PO initially, $1.5 million in their first year, and $4.5 million in year 2. I do believe through multi-level marketing that those sales targets are reachable by Laguna. I remain impressed by the team that they've built, but I would have to agree their financing has taken a little longer than even they anticipated. But let's face it, Michael, it's a difficult market right now. It is in the hemp or industrial hemp category, but outside the the really shiny medical marijuana that everyone seems to want to discuss. In summary, the deal with Laguna Blends is solid. It gives them exclusive rights to, and I want to be very clear on this, exclusive rights to 4 flavors and formulations that we develop for them, and not exclusive rights to hemp omega. Naturally Splendid, of course, retains the exclusive rights to hemp omega. We own that, and we are able to market that to any number of people. Never would we assign this to just one company, unless they were so large that we didn't have to go look anywhere else.
If it's Nestle, then you probably would do that.
Absolutely, we would. That's for sure. And don't kid yourself. With the access that we have through our board of advisors, we have some very interesting conversations going. A lot of them have been ongoing for a while. But we believe that it's only a matter of time now till we see one of these large companies that we have approached come back, and we can begin processing hemp omega for them.
Okay. And by the way, you guys set up a brand new website, and the URL is hempomega.com, and it contains a lot of, and this picture is taken from that website. There's a nice video, like 6-minute video on it, explaining the use and then what you can do with hemp omega. So I would urge all of you to check out www.hempomega.com.
Thank you very much, Michael.
That would be your job to pitch those guys to visit the website. Anyway, we were just talking about difficulties of raising capital for Laguna.
And can I ask one question between about the beverages? So we talk only of the coffee stuff, but can you tell us a little bit on other products, timelines, and so on?
That we're developing right now? Absolutely. We do want to have a functional beverage. In an earlier news release, you may recall that Naturally Splendid prepaid $250,000 in research and development with POS Biosciences. So that has created an opportunity for us to run several different projects, not only in functional beverages, but we've done some baking studies, we've done some additional dairy studies, dairy alternative studies, and we have uncovered numerous market opportunities that we're analyzing right now. We work very closely, of course, with Dr. Rick Green, who's also on our advisory board, and a senior executive with POS Biosciences. But there are a number of products that we are developing right now. I would say the top one, Joe, is the functional beverage category for sure. Because of the opportunity we have with a branding and a brand ambassador like an NFL player like Mitch Berger, think along the lines of scientifically developed, professionally endorsed. This is a high-end product that is intended for athletes or people who are really focused on health and wellness. Our base product, Natera, is a great functional entry-level product. This next line of products that we are developing in Canada, there's a company called Vega, and Vega is a plant-based ingredient company. and it recently sold. And actually, it started in Port Coquitlam, which is about 5 minutes away from our offices in Burnaby, in British Columbia.
Great.
They recently sold their company for $550 million US. To New York. I believe it was a stock exchange company, but for sure a company who's publicly listed in the United States. But that gives you an example of the opportunity in this category. Bioactive plant-based ingredients are a huge consumer driver, and large companies are looking at companies like that as acquisition targets. And we've seen some very interesting acquisitions in our direct market over the last 6 weeks, almost $1 billion in takeover activity. So, we continue to develop our bioactive plant-based ingredients through a wide range of products, Joe. And that's not only for human. We're very excited to have actually received our first sample of hemp omega infused pet food back for analysis, and we continue to do testing in cosmeceuticals. So it remains a wide range of opportunities and markets that we can approach. We haven't limited ourselves to anything as yet.
Can you tell me what is the product really cost then in the end market? So did I get a better feeling what you think the costs are? So when I'm going in the shop in Vancouver and will buy it.
Absolutely. Our competitors with these more developed products, it sells for up to $60 per pound. At a retail cost, so the margins are lucrative. The formulations are proprietary in most of these cases, allowing for these premium prices to be charged. It is a rapidly growing marketplace that really doesn't show any slowing down as far as growth. So we the margins are very good, Joe. It just depends upon the end formulation and the ingredients that we use. So there's not one gross number that I could give you, but I can tell you that it's a very, very profitable market segment.
Okay.
Okay. You just a couple of minutes ago, you just mentioned that getting funding or financing, especially for Laguna, seems to be a little bit tougher than they thought. And you guys also announced a private placement a couple of weeks ago. So can you just give us an update how this is going?
Absolutely. We announced a private placement at 50 cents a share that had a half warrant attached. Within the first 3 weeks, we raised approximately $1.65 million Canadian, and we used that capital to purchase POS Biosciences. If people recall, that deal was $1.75 million Canadian cash and $250,000 of Naturally Splendid stock that was valued at 68 cents per share. Since then, as you indicated at the beginning, the market has been a little soft. Our stock price is off a little bit right now. We're in the mid-40s, which is, of course, and only makes sense to make the more challenging to raise the private placement money at 50 cents. But we've been very encouraged with recent developments in the company that we hope to be able to discuss publicly very soon. But I think our investors and people who follow Naturally Splendid know that we've been looking at Colorado and the opportunity in the world of cannabinoids very close. We've been working with the TSX regulatory staff very closely in designing solutions to meet their regulatory challenges, or the challenges they have accepting a deal of our nature. We believe that we have some very positive open dialogue going with the TSX and are hopeful that we can begin to discuss our plans to expand more into the United States in the world of cannabinoids. So it continues to be a developing scenario, but if this comes to fruition like we are anticipating, I certainly think investors will take a closer and more positive look at the private placement that we hope to close off in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, Craig. I think so. That's mean for me. The news flow will going also dramatically up. So in the next few weeks. So in the last few weeks there was a lot of news coming up, but it looks like that in the next few weeks is going further this way.
I do agree, Joe. And really, most of the news last week was all about one subject. It was all POS, BPC, and securing a processing facility. So, in fairness, it wasn't like we had 6 news releases. It was really one news release split into 6 segments. We had to talk about securing it, and then signing off, and then financing and closing. So there was a series of news releases, but they really were all focused around the BPC acquisition. So it wasn't as if there was multiple news items to discuss. And even adding Mitch Berger, really that is focused around the POS and developing functional products with the help of Mitch and our team of research and developers out of the POS Biosciences. Now we want to bring in that other aspect, which is cannabinoid opportunities. And I do want to clarify and be very clear, we need to work with the TSX very closely on regulatory compliance, and we continue to do so. I'd like to thank them for their openness and trying to help us find a solution together so that we can, in fact, create maximum shareholder value by commercializing and monetizing the technologies that we licensed from Full Spectrum Labs, I guess, at the beginning of last year.
I was cut off. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, now.
Okay,
Now.
yeah, for whatever reason, I was cut off like 2 times, and probably I missed something. So anyway, maybe Joe, you just continue.
No, I think we are close to end, and we talk about the TSX and maybe what's coming up.
That would have been my last question to you, Craig. Yeah, what else is new? Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, are there any other opportunities you guys are looking after? So, kind of the stage is yours for some famous final words.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to summarize the opportunity in Canada. And that really focuses around protein and oil extraction and formulation. And that was our efforts were to secure processing capacity, and we did that quite handily with the deal with POS BPC. So that is the Canadian operation, and a really lucrative one. When we take a look at the size of the omega market, for example, which we've discussed previously, Michael, it's in excess of $35 billion a year and doesn't have the regulatory challenges associated with cannabinoids. In regards to new business, we continue to monitor the evolving cannabinoid regulations in Canada, although we are still not allowed to do extraction and formulation. So therefore, we have focused our cannabinoid opportunities in the United States. Even in the United States, it's a regulatory challenge in some cases, but we are working very close with the TSX and as I said, maintaining regulatory compliance. We believe that we are coming to a solution that will allow Naturally Splendid to operate with transparency in the United States and be either a developer, a supplier, or a processor of cannabinoid products. And as I said, we're not there yet. We are very close. The TSX has been very cooperative recently in designing a solution that they feel will best protect the shareholders in general, and I would like to thank them at this time for their guidance in working our way through the regulatory challenges, and I hope to be able to bring some updates to your clientele and your newsletter readers here in the very near future.
Okay, guys, so you heard it. Stay tuned. So, Craig, thank you very much for taking the time, and Joe,
thank you, Craig.
Same. And yeah, we are looking forward to getting an update from you whenever there's the next fundamental news release. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michael. I'd like to thank you both. And on closing, the websites to look for, folks, is hempomega.com. And then there's one other one. It's bcingredients.com. Those are our new divisions that we've launched. We would welcome any input and comments. And I'd like to thank everyone for their time today. Michael, thank you. Joe, thank you. And I look forward to speaking to both of you soon.